And we are live. Okay, welcome to part 3 of the Rapidus Atari 800 XL series. I think it's going to be a 4 or 5 part series at the rate we're going. And it's going to be a fairly short stream tonight because I've been pretty busy today, so there's not been much time for videos and not been much time for anything of much really. So without further ado, let's dive in and have a look at where we're at. Now, before we proceed any further with this, what I should have probably done in the last video is what you must do when you have been adding and replacing sockets on a board before installing any kind of upgrade. I mean, in this case we've replaced the ANTIC socket, the CPU socket, the POKI socket, we've taken the OS ROM and the MMU out and put sockets in, so there's 5 major ICs that have been messed around with, and what we must do before we proceed any further is check that the machine still boots. And if it doesn't boot, you've done something wrong. So without further ado, let's put the original MMU back in the machine and the operating system ROM. And assuming my USB S video capture card works, moment of truth. Activate again, okay, because I've hot plugged this thing because it if you leave it in since the last use, it makes a strange kind of buzzing noise on the system. So power on, let's see what we get, and we get a boot and we get video, so that tells us that everything still works. With that in mind, we can proceed to the next stage. Let's undo all these cables, and I'm going to take out that S-video dongle because it makes a hell of a racket even when it's not running. Take the power socket out, or the power supply out rather. Get rid of these 2 chips because we won't be needing them anymore, hopefully. And I think it's about time we picked a little spot to mount our ultimate 1 megabyte board. There's a possibility that things won't work here. Ah, hello there. The owner of the machine is here, it looks like. Let's hope nothing goes wrong. So there's some variables here. There are some variables in the form of the ultimate 1 megabyte board that we replaced the headers on. This hasn't been tested since that was done, so there's a 1 to 5% possibility that this doesn't work anymore, but if it doesn't, we'll fix it. There's a possibility that there's a short or a break in this cable that I made the other day. Hopefully it's good, but we don't know. If it's broken, we'll make another one. And where's the other cable? There's a possibility, as always, that our MMU cable, which is again custom made, doesn't work, but we'll find out shortly. Now I've got a reference machine here, which is quite messy, but this is mine, so it doesn't matter. And the reason I've took this motherboard out of the case is to remind myself where the hookup points for the 4-way header on the ultimate 1 megabyte are, because I can never remember and I haven't made a note of them. So this video will serve as a permanent record of just where to source these signals. And I made a crimped cable yesterday. Is this the one? No, that's another one. Which one is it? I must have already put the connector on the end. Is it that one? No, it's not that one. There should be a cable with 4 wires. There it is. Yes. So I made this the other day. I'll go through crimping again at some point. I didn't feel like going through it on this video. So we've got nice long wires with a crimp connector on the end. And that's going to plug in here on the Ultimate 1 MB board. Assuming I didn't make a complete mess of the crimping such that it won't plug into the header, but lo and behold it works. So, I think the first thing we should do is drill a couple of holes to mount this board. I don't remember where we were going to put it. I would like to be able to get the screws back in this thing to hold it into the case. So we're going to drill some holes that hopefully won't obstruct that. Now these holes are for the shielding that I guess we're not going to use again. We could put it here. That's an option. Get my drill. Get my drill and get my wood that I don't mind drilling through. Right. If I'm up and about getting stuff out of the cupboard, I might as well get we've got the pylons, standoffs, what have you, which I bought a bag of these things. M3 6x15 nylon standoffs. And I have to buy these because when you buy an Ultimate 1 MB, you get this, which is 1 screw, 1 nylon standoff, and 3 nuts. Can you see that? 3 nuts, 1 screw, 1 standoff. 2 holes, 1 screw, 3 nuts, and 1 standoff. That's not completely random. There is some rhyme or reason behind this, but really, 2 holes, 1 screw. So there's a 50% shortage of mounting material here, but never mind. I need to get some. Well, I'll use these nuts anyway. I might as well use some of it. Might as well use what we've got. The screw is spectacularly long. What's that, 30mm? I don't think I'll be using that. I won't be using the standoff, although I will keep it and use it for something else. And I will be using 2 of the nuts and keeping 1 for something else. So as I go over to my cupboard here with my wireless mic, that means I'm not tethered to the desk and I don't get strangled every time I stand up. Let's have a look at what we've got. My box of goodies. Well, what I'm looking for is a couple of washers, 2 washers, because we're going to mount this, and we're going to mount it good so it doesn't move around. Well, at least once we know it works. Initially I'll mount it so that it comes right out, but then when we know it works, we'll make it permanent and secure. Oh, these look reasonable screws, not ridiculously long. Let's have a look. What's that one? Oh, that looks okay. That would have been better, but how many of those have we got? Ah, we've got 2 of those, but they're too short. Let's see. Yeah, too short. No problem. Right, so we've got 2 screws, 2 nuts, 2 washers, which is the requisite number of screws, nuts and washers for 2 holes. Grab some of these connectors while we're here. What else can we grab while we're here? Anything else we're going to need soon? Yes. We're going to need some right angle. We're going to need some dual row right angle headers. We're going to need some single row headers, straight headers. We're going to need pretty much of everything because the VBXE doesn't have anything on it in the way of headers. So we'll grab a couple of strips of these and some strips of these. What else? I think that should do for now. So these things here, 10-way, what are they? DuPont headers. We can cut these down because I don't buy them in all different sizes. I just buy 4-way and 10-way and what have you. So fits everything when you trim them down. Right, what do I want now? A drill. My drill bits. Right, got my drill bits. Somewhere to put said drill and said drill bits. Okay, so normally in a machine like this I'd be mounting this board around about where? Around about, where do I put these things? Around about here. But we can't put it there because that's where the Rapidus is going to go. In fact, that's where the CPU is going to go. Believe it or not, the CPU, which is currently here, is going to end up here. So we're going to put this Ultimate 1 megabyte board over the other side of the motherboard, and we're going to drill 2 holes the correct distance apart, and we are going to drill them somewhere where the drill isn't going to go straight through a trace. So what's a good place for this? I need access to this screw when removing the motherboard, so we're not going to put it over the top of there. We could put it across here. Do we want to put it further back or do we want it further forward? How is this going to line up? Let's test fit these cables. Anywhere is going to be good around here, man. Maybe about here. Or maybe about here. Let's give that a try. Trying to think ahead is what's liable to snag on this, but I don't think anything is if I put it here. Put a little mark. Come on, pen. Draw a little mark. Okay, to make sure this is straight. And put a little mark here. And it's at this point that I realise the center punch is not on the desk. and indeed that I need a hammer. Grab my center punch, or whatever the correct term is. It's not really a center punch, I think it's a chamfer bit actually, but it does the job. Get my hammer. Ah, yes. This may come in handy later on if the machine doesn't work, but at the moment we're going to use it for center punching these holes. I can see nothing that's going to be affected by these holes if I put them here, so let's go for it. Let's just go for it. And my cork placemat to absorb the shock. Make sure that we don't warp the motherboard. Things you have to think of. Okay. And another one here. Right. Looks good. And let's select a 3mm drill bit. Okay. Triple check that this isn't going to go through anything important. Alright. They look about the right distance apart. I'm reasonably happy with that. Can we get rid of a bit of flash on the back? I think we can. Cut these nasty bits of copper off. There we go. Get rid of the sharp edges off this bit of ground, and that's it. Took the opportunity to do a bit of cleaning today because I got myself a new HEPA filter for the vacuum cleaner. And I'm happy to report that suction is very, very significantly improved. It's the usual story. The years pass by and you don't notice it at first, but the suction begins to drop off. And before you know it, you have to spend some money on stuff you don't really want to buy, but when you do, your suction's right back where it began. You can hardly remember what it was like, but when you get that suction again, it's fantastic. It was even powerful enough to drive the, what was it called, the turbo brush, specifically for the purpose of removing pet hair from fabrics and soft furnishings. Okay, so I should really take a moment to show what I'm doing here. I've put the two screws in the bottom side of the board in the two holes that I've drilled. Can you see that? Okay, so we've made ourselves two pylons here. Over these pylons we are going to slide the Ultimate 1 MB board, and over the screws that are protruding from the top we're going to get ourselves a couple of washers and a couple of nuts, because you don't put nuts on without washers underneath. What is a nut without a washer? It's nothing. Okay, and I'm going to tighten the screws from the back finger tight until we know that everything works. Okay, doesn't that look nice? How pretty is that? Now, if we do find that these ribbon cables do obstruct anything, there's no problem, we can move this along a little bit, but I'm fairly sure it's in the right place. So, see if these cables that I manufactured are going to reach their destination. And I'm really glad that I had the foresight to make these wires really long, because they're going to travel, one of them's going to travel down here. There's a wire to pick up, what is it, HLT, down here. Two of them are going to be up here and another one down here. So normally the cables are very short, but in this case they're going to be a bit longer than usual. So let's just rig things up and see if they fit. I mean, I do appreciate the difficulty of trying to make a one-fits-all solution as far as cabling is concerned here. I do understand that, but 2 holes, 2 screws, that's all I'm going to say. I've got a stray pin. Where did I put the pliers? There we are, on the other desk. So straighten these pins up, because sometimes they're a little bit off. Come on. Ah, there's a problem. It's the pin that stabbed me in the finger when I was making this thing. That's the one that's off. So it should go in now. There it does. Excellent. Well, they will tidy this stuff up later on. For now, it's good enough. Hi, Mopes. How's it going? Okay, now we're going to fit the OS ROM cable just to get a picture of how this is going to look. It's a little bit long, but I'll fold it so that it looks right. And this is probably 2/3 of the amount of ribbon cabling that's going to end up in this machine, so it will boast a tremendous amount of bus capacitance, but we can see only time will tell. Only time will tell whether it's going to work. Oh no, you broke your printer. I did. Good. Working on my 800XEL some more, actually building my joy-to-pick adapter so I can program 3 chips. Yeah, they're really, the 1088XEL is really astonishing. It's a really exciting project. It's good. I'm enjoying reading about that. And the joy-to-pick similarly. I've got a I've forgotten the name of it now. The dual pokey keyboard, PS2 keyboard adapter. Michael sent me one, and I've still got to install that in the machine actually. I don't really know which machine I'm going to put it in, but I still need to install that. But it was very kind of him to send this. Another thing I'm going to mention is while I'm mentioning things, TK2, that's it, thank you. Really embarrassing that I couldn't remember that. Yes, thank you to, because I've told one of the people who, we need some exposure balance, some exposure adjustment. There we go. Better or worse depending on your point of view. The thing about these cameras is that the C910 and the B910, they're basically the same camera, but they do 1080p at 30 frames a second, but only if you turn off the, what do they call it? They give it a name. What feature is it? In the Logitech webcam properties, it's called right light, which encompasses exposure and gain, auto adjustment, continuous auto adjustment. But that really slows the frame rate down, so I prefer to set the exposure and the gain, and then turn them off. And when you turn off right light, which you need to wear a mask when working with that thing. It's filled with lead. My printer's filled with lead. It's a heavy printer, but I don't know. I'll have a look later on. Logitech Brio. I haven't heard of that one yet. Well, I've heard of it, but I haven't looked at it. The ones I was looking at were the C920 and the C922. But I spend a lot of time comparing the footage from the different cameras, and I kind of like for the price quality ratio, I kind of like the C910. But yeah, that rings a bell, the Logitech Brio. I'll have another look, but I'm not gonna 4K. Jesus Christ. I don't know if I'll be broadcasting at 4K for anytime soon. I spend about 100 quid or thereabouts on the setup for this broadcasting setup. That's including the mic and the cameras and the capture card, capture dongle, USB microscope and stuff. The USB microscope is just a sort of a toy, but that's why this doesn't go in straight. It's got a bent pin. But anyway, yeah. It'll be very much dependent on whether the videos ever generate any money. I very much doubt they will. But I think the investment quality ratio is just about where it needs to be. Yeah, I want to thank Dominic Trill for sending me this 9-volt AC power supply, because both of mine, I've only got 2 Atari 9-volt AC power supplies, and they were both looking a bit ropey. And Dominic dug one out of his spares box and sent it to me, and it looks like it's basically brand new. It's still in the box. Rock Power RPNT8, 2.1 amp AC 9-volt. So these things will power 1200 XLs, 1050s, XF551s, 800s, and all that kind of thing. So thank you, Dominic, for that. And it's smaller than the original Atari power supply, and I dare say it's a bit more efficient as well. So I'll just plug it back in. Yeah, one of the supplies I had, one of the Atari power supplies I had, looked like it was just on the verge of shorting out with a frayed cable. So what time is it now? It's 3 minutes past 9. I think we've got about half an hour in which to see if we can wire up these jumpers. So I'll be paying attention to the reference board that I've got next to me on the table here. And the first thing we need to hook up is the clock. The clock signal. So as I've said in comments elsewhere on another video, this is just my way of doing things. It works. But you might like to route your cables and wires a little bit differently. So where did I pick up the clock signal? Let's have a look at this other board here. I really need to make a diagram so that I don't spend time. Ah, yes, that's where I picked it up from. Yes, right. I could probably just as well take them from the CPU, given that we're so far across the board now. So let's get why don't we find it's going to take a bit longer, but let's find a pinout. Let's find a pinout. Oh, so I'm going to need the keyboard. We'll try some different hookup points here. Desktop display capture. My display capture doesn't seem to work. You taught me so much, I fixed the banding issue with my printer from your stream. That's awesome. Why does desktop capture not work? Let's remove it and try again. Display capture. Why? Do you still think there's another monitor plugged in here? What is going on? Display 0. There's only one display. So why are you not capturing the screen? Picture in picture. Display capture 2. So what are you? Display 0, exactly the same thing. Odd. Can I copy this? Can I remove this? Add media source. Add existing. Crap. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why display capture doesn't work anymore. Let's try and set it up again. Display capture. Add existing. There we go. Hey. There we go. Right. Atari Sally pinout. Right. Where's the multimeter? I'm gonna pick some nice little wires near the antic or the CPU, because I don't particularly want to run these cables right the way across the board to the PBI socket on this machine. Right, diode mode. Let's see if I can get this on the screen. Oh, I wish this was a 2-monitor machine. So I'm going to test. Which one do we want first? PHI2, which is O2, which is on pin 39, and there's a nice wire. Oh no, that's the antic. Where can we get a nice signal? Pin 39. Where are you going? Let's take the CPU off and see if I can find a nice little wire with the clock signal on it, phase 2 clock signal. It's pin 39. Oh, now we can see. Well, the bottom of that resistor looks like a good spot, so let's go for that. Now we're going to run this underneath here. Could do. That would be a good idea. So we'll feed. Jesus. I'm going to take these off, they're in my way. So what we're doing here is we're trying to find some nice convenient little points on the motherboard that aren't actual shoulders of IC legs or anything like that. Some nice little points where we can pick up our signals. Can I just run this down here? Yeah, that's a good idea. There, so we'll do that. Okay, so we're going to pick off a phase 2 clock signal. We'll pick off down at the bottom of this resistor here. So soldering iron, which is still on, and we shall just trim that there. Twist my wire, tin my wire. Still got this pointed tip. I can't really be bothered to change it at the moment. Pliers. Make a little hook on the end of this wire. You won't be able to see that, probably, but I've made that like a little hook, just for a little bit of extra stability. Put a bit of solder on the shoulder of that resistor, and solder my wire on. Okay, that's the first connection. What is our next connection? Our next connection needs to be read-write. So which pin is read-write on the CPU? Read-write is on pin 36. So let's test pin 36. That's 40, 39, 38, 37, 36. Where do you emerge from? You've got a trace on the back. You have. Ah. Could it be you? 36. There we go. So read-write appears to be there. That kind of makes sense. So let's put our wire down here. Nice convenient little points on the motherboard. And then I'm going to tuck all these wires in later on. But the main thing we want to do at the moment is just to see if it works. Tin my wire. And I want this wire to go right through that hole right there, and it's probably got a bit of solder in it or something, solder mask or flux or whatever. So I'll put a bit more solder in it, and I'm going to clear it. Yeah, that's board is too low. Yes, I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree with you, and I know what you mean. I'm going to move this keyboard, but it's actually too far away from the camera as well, I think. But I'm going to move it up the table, so thank you for pointing that out. There we go. It's a bit better. What I'm going to get for ventilation is an extractor. At the moment I'm just relying on things like open windows and stuff, but you're quite right. You are absolutely right. I've got my eye on a Hakko extractor. It's not expensive, and I think it's a worthwhile investment. I just haven't got around to ordering it yet, but I will. Yeah, but they are the low end. Hakko seem expensive, but they are the low end. I mean, this particular extractor, it's not the it isn't the one with the long hose. It's just a desk mounted fan, basically. You could probably make the same thing with a HEPA filter and a 12-volt fan, but might as well just buy it. It's pretty cheap. I mean, Maplin do one as well, but I just prefer the look of the Hakko one. But been soldering for a long time without proper equipment, with crappy gear, so probably a lot of damage has already been done. But hopefully, before my own death, we will finish this machine and send it back and collect the money. So without further ado, what is our next signal? Our next signal is reset, and reset is, as we can probably see here, reset. Let's clear all this crap. Reset is on pin 40. The desk one is just a carbon filter. It may well be, but I just think it's probably better than nothing. Better than the nothing I've got now. So pin 40, reset on the CPU. We've got a nice convenient little via here somewhere. I know it's got to be around here somewhere. Around the back of Antic, probably. In fact, I know that which signal. There is one signal on here. It must be HLT. HLT is on pin 35. So HLT's on pin 35. So it would be that one. So HLT. There's HLT. So I can do my HLT wire. I'll do my HLT wire now. So, which would be the last wire. So we will make HLT go to here. And the board's drifting off the... I use the edge of the desk a lot, so I should probably reposition the camera. You could make one of the shop vac. Probably, yeah. But I mean, the one I was looking at on well, the one in Maplin and the Hakko one on eBay, which for all I know might be knockoff crap, may not even be Hakko. We're talking like 20-25 quid. So for that kind of money, if it performs as well as a homemade solution, it's not worth spending the time trying to rig one up. Okay, so we're gonna clear this via. Oh, we would clear the via if the pump was under the correct spot on the board. Let's try again. Let's try again. And I'm off camera again. There we go. Yeah, I think I've seen. I think the really expensive one I've seen on Lewis Rossman's videos. I think he's got one of the fancy Hako extractors, but I mean it's a shop. He really needs to have a good air purifying solution. I'm almost at the point of requiring magnification here. Did I tin this wire? I don't think I did. That would explain all of the problems I'm having. Yeah, it is that one. I priced that one up. Ooh, Jesus. Yeah, this channel would have to really take off in a big way. But yeah, the small one. It's gonna be an additional noise, an additional source of noise, which I don't know how that's gonna affect things. Really, we'll just have to see. Oh, it's my multimeter telling me to turn it off. Multimeter telling me it's it's probably time. Nearly time to finish. What the hell is in this hole? But I mean, I've just moved up from a 25 watt fixed temperature iron to something resembling a half usable setup, so all in good time. Oh, this is getting annoying. Maybe I'll try this from the other side. Right, try this thing upside down. All this just to get the solder out of one hole. This is ridiculous. I can't even get this wire sufficiently clear of solder to stick a damn wire through it. Ugh. Ridiculous. I wonder if this pump's blocked up again. Damn it. It doesn't look like it's blocked up. Well, it is a bit blocked up. Let's add flux. When in doubt, add flux. There we go. That's the problem. A big wedge of solder in the damn pump. Okay. So hopefully now it's going to work. Why is it always the simplest little job that just brings things grinding to a halt? Hey! Yes, finally. There we go. Right, just a little bit of special ESD safe blue tack to hold this fellow in while I solder on the back side of the board. And then we got one wire to go, and then we can turn it on and watch it not work because I probably screwed the ribbon cable up. Okay, the final signal number 3 is reset. Now where did I say reset was? Quick glance at the browser. Reset is on pin 40. Okay, let's put the tester in diode mode again. See if we can find somewhere where pin 40 shows up. And it shows up on pin 36. 7, 8, 9. Does it show up on pin 36 of Antic? Let's verify that. We'll double check by having a look at the pinout of the Antic chip. Which I need a keyboard for, unfortunately. Antic Atari pinout. Okay. It's a Prosta multimeter, that one. And my father actually bought it for me. And so I had no say in, yeah, that's reset. Good. I had no say in what kind it was going to be, but so as we can see here, pin 36 of Antic is the reset signal, which is on pin 40 of the CPU. So this little fellow here is going to get cleared of solder, and he's going to have a wire stuck through, so we can get rid of the multimeter. It's a decent multimeter. It's got a temperature probe on it as well, which I was going to use sometime when I can get around to it, to test the temperature of the hot air on this cheap eBay station, just to see if it is actually just to see if it does actually get up to 460 Celsius or whatever it claims to do. Okay, so let's trim that about there. There or thereabouts, a little bit shorter. Alright, strip that. Get my chat window back. It was, and the meter, I think you only paid about 20 quid or something. But it's really good. It's much better than the crap I was using before. The biggest joke piece of equipment I've got probably is the USB microscope. Well, I bought it more as a sort of novelty thing just to see what it would be like, but it does work. But it works at VGA resolution, and it appears to run at about 10 frames a second. It's great for inspection. I actually used it when I was putting together some of those Uno carts, but because the picture, because you don't have a eyepiece and it's monoscopic, obviously, because you're looking at the monitor, it's pretty much impossible to actually work on the job by looking at the monitor. I mean, so what I found I was doing was working with a sort of with the naked eye, but with the job under the microscope, and then glancing at the screen periodically. And it was good. Yeah, it's good as an inspection tool, definitely, but not a real microscope by any stretch of the imagination. Where did I put the flux? These wires are proving really difficult to clear today for some reason. This leaded, unleaded, well, it would be. Is it leaded solder on these old boards, or I don't know. Maybe I'm using the wrong tip. I don't know. Let's try again. But I'm not going to change tips now at this stage in the proceedings. Let's try this from the other side of the board. God, I've got to get one of those heated pumps. Trouble with live videos when you hit a stupid little snag like this. There we go. Finally. Did I tin that wire? Yes, I did. Right, let's stick the damn thing in. And we should just have time to do a single power on. Do a single power up and see what we get. See if we get anything. My money's on a blank screen, but and that'll, hands up, that'll just be pure. That'll be me crimping the ribbon cable wrongly or something. Or just getting mixed up with these wires because they're not color coded, because I'm OCD and I like everything grey, whatever. Alright. Put the CPU in, not going to get very far without that. There we go. This can't work first time. I'm bound to have done something dumb. We've done this a million times, but never during the live streaming YouTube era. Right. So here we go. Very, very roundabout, meandering journey. We've got the Ultimate 1 megabyte screwed to the board. We've got the ribbon cables just about the right length. And we've got the 4 little hookup points connected to the 4-way header. And as you can see, that this looks reasonably sturdy and things don't move. So let's plug it in and let's see if it works. And if it works, then I'm done. And if it doesn't work, I'm also done. We'll come back to it tomorrow. I suppose it's not the end of the world if it doesn't work, because if it doesn't work, then we get to document how to troubleshoot things when they don't work first time. Alright. So is this capture card going to work straight out of the box again? Desktop. Atari S video. Okay. Let's see what happens. We got anything? We've got nothing. Ah, fantastic. Yes, it is, because it doesn't work. No. Let's just make sure this works. Have I got the right capture device? I have. Okay. Switch on. Oh, perfect. Let's just verify that this works with a known working machine, and then I will be done and come back to it tomorrow. It's bound to be the ribbon cables. They weren't the original ribbon cables, so... Right, so this is an 800XE. Ah. That's interesting. This doesn't work either. So maybe the capture card. There's hope yet. Could be the capture card. Okay, let's have another go. So we'll assume that the capture card doesn't work for whatever reason. We will add a new source. I should let's get into desktop view at least so you can see what's going on. Right. So this is the right, this is the EasyCap USB capture card and USB to video device. Let's remove that and start again. Capture device. Which device is it going to be? EasyCap USB capture? Let's try it. Activate. Yeah. Hey! Whoa! Aha! Can you see that? Can you see what I see? Ah, that's nice. So it works. And just to prove it, I'm going to turn it off again. I'm going to turn it back on. And I'll do power cycle again while we've got the USB capture view. Oh, there we go, it's locked on. So I think time to call it quits while we are ahead. Took a little bit longer than expected, but that was my fault because I decided to pick up those signals from different spots on the board, and I might as well write them down while I'm looking at them for next time. So with that working, stuff like BIOS upgrades and stuff we'll do when the machine's more or less complete. The next job will be VBXE. We need to kit out the VBXE with some furniture because it has nothing on it in the way of headers and connectors of any sort. So we're going to put those on. We are going to wire the signal wires to the RGB jack. So we'll do VBXE all in one video next time at the very least. Shouldn't take a terribly long time. I've got to make a video cable for this machine, but that's just going to be a carbon copy of the one I'm already using, so we'll be able to test it straight away before I do the awful job of making another video cable. And then I think should we leave Rapidus till last? I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but this machine should start to fly together pretty quickly now. So we know that the first thing that went in works, which is great. So yes, I'm very happy about that. It's not a big deal if it didn't work because, but. Well, it is. What I'm pleased about is that I don't have to remake these ribbon cables because I have run out of ribbon cable of this length. So if these ribbon cables had been faulty and needed trimmed down and rebuilt again, it would have delayed the job a little bit because I used the last of the long ribbon cable that I have in the box. So yeah, it works, and which is great news. So with that, I am going to bid you farewell and hope that you enjoyed watching, and I will see you in the next video.